listening to the Concierge Coaches Show with Bruce Cameron and Wayne Fritz, only on LA Talk Radio.
No, hear you. Can't hear you, Bruce.
Wayne?
Or yeah, are you there, Detective? Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm
Bruce,
here.
Bruce went dead. I think he's going to hook back up here real quick.
Okay.
There he is.
There I am, man. Sorry about that, folks. Here we go.
There you go.
Technical difficulties right when you need it. Well, everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of the Concierge Coaches Show here on LA Talk Radio. I'm Bruce Cameron along with Wayne Fritz, and we have, thank you, Wayne. We have a special guest with us today, very special guest, a friend of mine that I've known for at least 10 years, maybe a little bit longer. And you may recognize him from the very popular TV show Cheaters. He's the detective on that. But we have Daniel Gomez with us. Daniel, thanks for coming on the show. There he goes.
That's my uniform.
Now everybody knows what he looks like.
There you go.
But well, thanks for coming on the show, Daniel. I know that you know, you being a detective and myself being former law enforcement, in some ways we've shared some clients. I know over the years that I've had to have clients get certain members of their family or loved ones checked out electronically. Mm-hmm. You've done a great job. We've been able to hire you and retain you for those services, because you never know what, you know, people may say one thing and do another. And so it's always good to do that. As a matter of fact, because you've inspired me, at least I have a public data and a couple of other accounts that I can run some basic stuff on my own now. But I've relied on you in the past to give us some good information about people and stuff. So right. Definitely want to talk about that aspect of what you do and what are some of the more popular service lines that you do. So, but without further ado, yeah, man, tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself and how you came to be in the business and how long, and kind of walk us through the story a little bit.
Yeah, so I was in law enforcement myself for a while. Actually, I started off being in Texas, you know, that you have to be a peace officer before you become anything.
Right.
And so I was a peace officer for the city of Dallas. It's where they had a program a long time ago where you could be a security officer but be licensed peace officer at the same time. You had to go through an academy and type thing. And then I did a little transition where I worked as a bailiff for the city courts building.
Nice.
Where they write tickets and things. So I did that. I did that for a while. So I was educated on how to fight a ticket, basically. But I was at the police and courts building. And then I transferred into the Dallas Police Department. And I worked there for about 10 years. And then after that, I transitioned over to, I got a great offer from a gentleman who was considering putting a little TV show together and said, look, we'd like to get a private investigator to lead up our detective agency. And we'd like for you to be the guy. So I took a chance and started working for the TV show Cheaters. I was working privately and working for the TV show Cheaters at the same time. And did that for 22 years. And awesome. The show quit shooting about 2 years ago, and I've been just private status since then. I still feel like I'm working for the TV show Cheaters because people want their cases to go down like the TV show Cheaters, but the whole crew's not there anymore. It's just me and the client. But it's enjoyable. I love it. I love working in the private sector. I think, Bruce, you could probably say this also. You get more appreciated for working in the private sector as working as a public service, but when you work for people privately, it's they appreciate a lot more.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing. But I do a variety. I specialize in infidelity in domestic cases, but I do everything, whatever comes about.
What is the most? Is it more so infidelity? What's kind of the breakdown, the categories of clients that you have now privately? What you have infidelity, you have other background checks. What else is going on?
Yeah, I would say infidelity, background checks. Those are big now because there's so many scams on the internet these days. Child custody cases where I know that no parent is the perfect parent, but the other parent's trying to prove the other parent's not a good parent. And my job is to try to make sure that this parent that has custody of this person's child is doing the right thing, or whatever is described by the court order that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Wow.
And then I'll tell you, like I took a missing persons case the other day, and I told the guy, I said, it's not my specialty, but I found the guy in 2 days. So my client was happy. Yeah, a homeless guy. Yeah, so I'll take anything, but mostly infidelity, custody, and domestic stuff.
Okay. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about infidelity. I mean, that's been kind of like you said, the show Cheaters was predicated on that. So again, is it kind of just basically following folks for that you get a lead and then you kind of see if the liaison is made type of stuff like the show, or what does that look like?
Well, it's kind of like the show in a way, but also it has to, I try to explain to my clients, I said, you can get into the phone and see the text messages, but at the end of the day, you need hard evidence. You need something that you can see so you can either stay with your significant other or cut them loose or get a divorce or separated or do something, but you need real evidence at the end of the day, bottom line. Because I have had some clients come up to me and go, well, Detective Gomez, I got into his phone. I know the girl's texting him, but he told me you still don't have any evidence. She was just texting me. So at the end of the day, it comes down to, old school surveillance and sitting there watching and getting pictures and video or whatever it may be, but get something solid. And that's what they want to see. So my job is to provide that, and I will do that.
Take it to the next level and get them something, a better piece of evidence, you might say, rather than hearsay, social media.
Something tangible. Right.
And so, well, that's right. Do you have to generate when to, because you must get paid by either the hour or the day or whatever, or some other types of things. So how do you know, do they tell you, hey, I think on Thursday night, he's going to go such and such, or are you just doing stuff like flat out, like on a multiple day, 23-hour type deal?
No, what I try to do, I'm not the youngest cat on the block anymore. So I try to narrow everything down to where I try to explain to them. I said, there's going to be some hit or miss days. Some days will be good. Some days you won't, but you've got to be willing to invest in this if you're going to get something done. I said, I can't predict. I've had a lady once tell me one time, she goes, how long is it going to take for you, Detective Gomez, to catch my husband cheating? I said, I don't know. I'm not your husband. I can't predict if he's doing it anyway. You feel he's doing it, but I don't know if he's doing it. I don't have a magical, crystal ball at home to predict when this is going to happen. So there's going to be some days it's going to be hit or miss. And then, I'd like to schedule this and just watch them in these particular hours. I always tell clients there's only 24 hours in a day. You got to sleep 8 of them, right? Supposedly work 8 of them. So you got another 8 hours to either lie to you or mess around, and I'll figure it out. But
right.
Give me something to work with, but don't call me at 9 o'clock at night and say, by the way, he's cheating right now. Can you go? Yeah, because then the price doubles if you had to go out.
Right, man. That's for sure. So you're right. I mean, that's usually but if somebody sleeps 8 hours, somebody works 8 hours, it kind of narrows the window a little bit by default. So that's really good. So, all right, now let's talk a little bit about your social media real quick. I know we'll give our listeners and viewers ways at the end to do that, but so I saw you're on Spotify, you have YouTube. Kind of give us an overview on what's going on.
Well, I have my own podcast also. It's called Beyond Cheaters, the Detective Gomez Files. And I interview different people. I'll probably interview later on, Bruce. But usually I try to get past clients or current clients or people that just want to tell their story to be able to showcase and educate other people who have possibly maybe going through something so they can listen to the podcast and learn something just to prevent the heartbreak in their life, to try to help them out a little bit. And that's what I try to do. I think I interviewed someone not too long ago involving a scam. They got scammed on the internet, which is really big. And we talked about this briefly yesterday, but there was a woman that got scammed with $10,000, which is actually kind of small with some of the other stories I've read. But she thought she was speaking with an actor from a TV series called Stranger Things.
Right.
And she ended up sending him $10,000 in gift cards and cryptocurrency, and divorced her husband. And this guy's what they call a romance scammer.
Right.
And they target women that are kind of low self-esteem, maybe in a toxic relationship, and got her to divorce her husband and sent him his money, and found out the guy wasn't even real. But
Wow.
and this was over in a year's time, but I still can't believe, Bruce, that some of these people, and even men, I mean, I got a guy right now who called me just about a month ago who invested $300,000 into cryptocurrency with a woman on the internet, never met her. And now the site's gone, the female's gone. And he told me, he goes, well, she lives in New York. And I go, well, man, I don't know. I said, the FBI can investigate it, but I don't think the FBI is going to send a whole crew to go kicking doors in South Africa if your money's over there. Okay. So I just don't think they're going to go through all that trouble,
Wow.
So sadly to say, I think this man lost a lot. And I think he was like 79 years old.
Yeah. And regarding the age, but some most people, like you give them the evidence and they still won't believe it. You've had those cases?
No.
Like,
no.
They still
no.
like, no, this is a scam or whatever. And as a matter of fact, I'll probably talk to you later. There's a scam going on right now. People getting out of prison. This person says he's from the parole department and he gets money to help set up an ankle monitor so they can live in the halfway house. And it's a complete scam. So, I keep on telling them, if the Federal Bureau of Prisons and Texas Department of Corrections is not going to be calling your house asking you for Venmo or Zelle, for a ankle bracelet for your loved one, man, bro. But these people they want loved one home so bad. Anyway, it's crazy.
Yeah, but at least if you're going to meet somebody, especially when it comes down to romance, pick up the phone, call somebody. Do something. Go. I'd love to be in love with Jennifer Lopez, but I'd like to at least talk to her before I start sending her money. Not that she needs it, but you got to think, like, these people make good money in Hollywood, and they got money. I don't know what crossed her mind. I guess she just kind of felt good that somebody was communicating with her. But Jennifer Lopez wants to break up with Ben Affleck and give me a call. Sure, I'll send her some money, I guess.
And we see a similar thing. The guy says he's over in Iraq and he's a former soldier and he has the pictures of himself and he has all the military stuff. And then, I'm on this special mission. I really can't tell you why it is and this and that. And so they really do a good job with this story in the front end that it kind of explains all their misbehavior in the back end. Well, I told you that I was special forces, this and that. And it's like, holy moly, and just take these folks on a ride. And like you said, it's very, very unfortunate. Wayne.
I get, me being a single guy, I get emails and things from ladies, and you can sure spot them. But I was never a detective, but I was a private investigator for a defense attorney in Columbus, Ohio. And you had to have your academy first and your peace officer certificate and all that. And I was a policeman for a long time. But there's some strange things when you're investigating that you go through, whether it's civil or criminal. Now, we did a lot of criminal stuff, murders and things like that. And it was that's kinds of things that you do are a whole different realm than law enforcement. I mean, it's like, law enforcement, we did a stakeout now and then, but it's nothing like being an investigator or a detective. The things that you've done, I just can't imagine. I was just an investigator. I went to some nasty places and talked to some bad people. And I was scared was to talk to them, but that's part of the job.
Yeah, it really is. And sometimes you just don't know, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what their backgrounds. I've seen people, especially in some of these scams, really intelligent people get scammed, and scamming does not play a race card. You can be black, white, Hispanic, Chinese. It doesn't matter. Asian doesn't matter. They'll get you.
I want to go over a real quick case, and this is real talk, everybody. I mean, I have a friend, just a friend that's a lady, and she is involved with her job. She's a past mid-career professional in the financial services industry, right? And she works with money and financial planning and all that stuff. Very accomplished, degreed, veteran in her field. And this guy she started dating, she just kind of had the creeps a little bit, and she just couldn't quite pin it, So she talked to me. I said, "Hey man, if you feel something's not right, let's take a check." And then I did the public data check. I saw some little stuff. I said, "You know what? We better let's retain Detective Gomez here and get a better, because of your license, you have a better ability, right? To in the scope of your duties that are way deeper than the stuff that I can do, being whatever, So and it's good, bro. And sure enough, bro, you're through your efforts, you had uncovered, moving from place to place to place, multiple domestic types of issues, domestic violent types of issues, prior conviction, Class A misdemeanor stuff, but stuff that was maybe in another state that won't show here, And so lo and behold, man, this now that we have these data points, and that she can look at these data points and say, "Hey man, this dude, up until year XXX," and you can kind of build that profile. This happened here, this happened there, he moved here, he moved there, right. This car got sold, that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Now but because of the electronic data points, we can really construct a profile of this individual, right? And see what the heck is this guy about? And so, honestly, as good as I, as I can be as just a regular guy, doing some regular searching and public data stuff, while that stuff is good, man, having a detective, having you, Daniel, and your data services provided things next level that, and so, the lady terminated, that relationship did terminate.
Good.
Terminated in a way that didn't precipitate another domestic violent event.
Good.
That I felt that guy was prone to, and then because we knew it, we could see some of the things ramping up and kind of cut it off at the pass. And I was able to use some hostage negotiation type stuff and whatever to get this lady.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Not there's no hot, but
sometimes it's
talk them down, right. That type of stuff.
I had a lady probably about a year ago who she met a guy. She wanted, sadly to say, some of these women on, you'll see them on Facebook. They're constantly saying, "I'm waiting for that right guy. I'm not messing with anybody. It's not worth my time." All that stuff they put up for their self motivation. I'm okay with all that. That's fine. I'm waiting for that one. I'm like, okay, you keep waiting because you're going to be a granny by the time you get one. But so finally she meets this guy. She calls me, "Detective Gomez, I met this guy. He's beautiful. He's tan. He's got blue eyes. He's like the perfect guy for me. But I want to do a background check." I do a background check the guy out. I go, "Nothing's coming up. Based on what you gave me, nothing's coming up on the computer." They go, "Really?" "Well, he said he's American." I said, "Well, ask him some more questions." She gave me some more information. She goes, "Something's wrong with your computer, or you're not doing your job right." And I go, "No, I'm doing my job right." I said, "Go out with him again." And so finally, long story short, he finally confesses that he was using a fake name because he had just gotten out of prison for financial crimes, and he didn't want anybody to know his real identity. So she was like, I just couldn't believe he was just so beautiful. I said, well, that's what your problem is. You're trying to look for that perfect guy in a photograph instead of looking at the inside of that person to find out who he really is. Come on. You're in your early 40s. Get it together.
You know what? We're going to get you that life coaching certification, brother. Be on the show here.
I think you're right. He do some life coaching next. Or
hey, man, you're probably just as good as a life coach as you are as a detective, man. And you're right. Sex offenders will use a different name because they're on the sex offender registry and those things.
Right.
That's a great point, brother, about the fake identity and using, kind of bending that. So great point. So and see what a great service that was, because she could get off the train early. Can you imagine? She had gotten on that train, been with this dude for about a year. The cognitive dissonance would have built up. It would have been hard for her to. And so some of those people are in love with being in love. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just like they're in love with the notion of being in love, and this whole thing to be so romanticized, it's not even real.
Well, and they want to be. Everybody wants love. Everybody wants. I get that, but you've got to be careful where you throw your love at, so you don't go to the wrong person. I had a Hispanic guy a couple of years ago sent this woman $40,000, in a year, and he finally asked me. He hired me. I checked it out. I said, let me see that Western Union receipt. And he showed it to me. You know where the money was going to? Come on, Bruce. Come on. You're good.
I don't know, man. Africa, ox carts.
There you go. South Africa.
Yeah.
I said, I'm sorry, sir. She's not coming to see you. And that money's going to South Africa. So
yeah, man. Yeah.
It broke his heart. But she's not coming to Dallas to see you, my friend.
Coming to Dallas. No, sir. Have you seen this Facebook group called "Are You Dating Him" or something?
Yeah. I've had a couple of my clients are on. They refer me some cases out of there every once in a while.
That is right. I mean, savages. So it really is interesting, right? Because there's, look, if somebody's a liar and doing stuff, that's one thing. But man, everybody is kind of quick to call out, this guy's a gaslighter.
Right.
My favorite word is narcissist. He's a narcissist. He's a gaslighter.
Yeah, that's kind of that's narcissist is kind of the new word for an asshole now.
That's right.
It's like, because when we grew up, it was he's an ass or whatever. But now it's like, oh, he's a narcissist. I'm like, well, that's kind of the new word. But back in the old days, he was just an asshole.
It just adds self-centeredness to it, the self-centered asshole.
Yeah.
Narcissist. So
yeah.
Or any kind of untruth is a gaslight. So so it is kind of interesting. Again, there's, we're not seeing too many innocent guys get rung up falsely, right? Because once again, the one thing that doesn't change is the truth, right? And so a lot of these things that's why I love these background investigations, because man, you can really see. I just love the data points. Oh, one thing I was going to ask you. Now, do you do anything with cell phone towers and getting the pings, or is that stuff that the law has to do?
The law enforcement, they have to get a warrant for that, to do those pings and things like that. So they have to get warrants for that. And even with cell phones, some lady goes, well, can't you just hack in there? I said, well, that's illegal, and I don't do legal stuff. So I would suggest that either you're going to divorce them, you can. And part of your discovery, you can get all the cell phone records if you want to do that, if you want to go through all that trouble. But as far as the pings and stuff like that, your local law enforcement will have to do that for you if they feel it's valid. It's like some lady called me yesterday. Said, "Well, I think my husband went to this 7-Eleven down the street from me, and I think he might have taken a girl. Can you get the video?" I said, "No, I can't. You can't." And the police department's not going to mess with it either. Okay,
right?
Because
right.
7-Eleven, they won't get that. Not for stuff like that. I wish they could, because then I'd make a lot more money, but they don't.
Right. Yeah. Another service line for you.
Right.
Actually, I stumbled into a missing persons case, and went to the gentleman's apartment. Then I went ahead and called the local PD from his apartment. Saw blood in the apartment. The guy had actually cut his hand 2 days before the PD had responded. But then the dude's just MIA all the way. And I, use some of my former federal credentials to beg, borrow, and plead, like, please ping this guy. Yeah, man, the last time his phone was right over here, and I looked at all the businesses, and it was a county jail. The dude was.
Well, there you go. You're in jail.
The dude was in jail and just chilling out. No phone call, but man, no phone calls, no nothing. The county he was in didn't reach out to anybody. I mean, this guy could have been off the count for a good bit, for real. And
yeah.
Anyway, but it shows you, how important sometimes that cell phone stuff is. But I know that's in the hands of the law enforcement. But
yes, it's basic, right? That stuff is.
What is that Facebook group again you guys were talking about? There's got to be some good stories on there.
Oh, Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
Wayne, that thing gets 10,000 posts a day. 10,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's called "Are You Dating This Guy?" DFW. And
I'll look that up.
But man, that is, look, let me tell you something. It's
for women only, though. They won't let you in it.
That's right. You got a woman, Wayne, so you better find a Confederate. I know I did.
Well, I throw a wig on or something.
My person is on there. And so we were able to go on there and take a look for a dude who had been unjustly accused of some BS, right? And I was able to screenshot the bullshit and send it over to a lawyer for defamation, slander, and stuff like that, man.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, man, for real. I mean, this lady was lighting up this dude, just saying all kinds of just, and you know what? You could say, Wayne Fritz, that guy hit me in the head with a salad master. That's kidding. Anyway, and then there'd be women just cheering this lady on. They don't know Wayne. They don't know. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, man, you go get him. You know what I mean? And so it does kind of stoke these false fires sometimes. Anyway.
It does.
That's not what we're about, but that is that kind of, and this is the problem when people resort to social media or very, very subjective and inaccurate data gathering methods rather than just spend some money, hire Detective Gomez, right?
That's true.
And get the facts, man. Get it from a licensed professional, just right. Yeah, man. Don't go to the shade.
And lots of those forums sometimes they're just cheerleaders for what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I would probably say half of them, Bruce, don't do anything. They're just gossiping. They don't do anything. Half of them don't do anything. That's the hard part. It's a
silo form of communication. It's this echo chamber, right? So if you're just gonna hear what you want to hear sometimes, right? And hear sometimes, some or often, you're not gonna hear the truth, right? You're just gonna hear what you want to hear, and that's not necessarily so. But okay, man. So let's go with a child custody.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
Or Wayne, go ahead, please.
No, that would be a good one.
So Dan, you got a child custody story that you could share?
Yeah, child custodies are very, very. Usually I ask the clients, basically, so what are you looking for me to find out? And the biggest thing that I have is when people, if there's a court order saying, hey, you can't have this person at your house, something like that, then my job is to find that information out. I did have one 4 or 5 years ago where the judge said this guy cannot be with you and this child at the same time. And the girl brought him over there on Thanksgiving and bam, she lost custody. Now, I will tell you this, sometimes there's drugs involved, there's alcoholism involved. I had a client, one who wanted custody of his son because the wife just couldn't stop drinking. She was out drinking at the bars all the time. So most of it comes down to the environment of the child, who's taking care of the child. Or if you have custody of the child, are you actually with the child and not at home all the time? So are you having a babysitter come out? Are you going out and partying all the time? Things like that. That's kind of like what they're looking for. But the key thing is the environment of the child, is who's with the child.
Because, right, there are some of those cases where let's say that if the dad has the custody over that weekend, he can't have his paramour spend the night during his time.
Right.
So if they find, or you find that the paramour stayed the night, then that's in violation of the decree, correct? In that case.
Yeah, and then I'll document it, but I always tell them, I said, the judges in the family courts are kind of funny sometimes. Sometimes they're really strict. Some of them let things slide all the time. I said, if you're going to do something like this, at least get it 2 or 3 times so you don't spend your money going to court and they come back and say, oh, well, it only happened one time. That was it, So, Texas is a mother state, so most of the times they're on the side of the moms. So I said, if you're going to try to prove that she's a bad mom, you better have your evidence in order.
Yeah,
It'd be a lot of work.
You better have 5 or 6 bars or 5 or 6 sleepovers for sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever been
solid?
Did you ever have to testify in court as to the veracity and truthfulness of the data that you gathered?
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I had a case a long time ago where I had to testify that I was watching the house and this lady was selling stolen items out of the house. And at one point while I was shooting surveillance, I guess her brother came out and took a white powdery substance under a rock. And I was able to catch it on tape and give it to this guy. And then he took off. And then there was a quick exchange, which is real fast. And so I was asked in court, they go, well, Detective Gomez, why do you think that is cocaine? Could it have been washing powder? I said, yeah, I guess it could have been, but I just don't know many people keep washing powder under a rock in front of their house. And then, of course, the attorney goes, oh, but you didn't analyze it, did you? I said, well, it wasn't given the chance to analyze it, or I would have, but I just don't think people.
I mean, are you going to ask the video camera a question, lawyer? I mean, it's like a recording device. It's not.
Yeah. So it was I had to testify to the video, and then he goes, my client's attorney said, well, it's not a good environment because the brother was dealing drugs, possibly. And he's like, well, it could have been washing powder. So, yeah, it could have been, but I don't keep my washing powder under a rock in front of my apartment.
No.
So attorneys, they get paid to make an argument. So I can't blame him. He's trying to make an argument.
Well, the guy I worked for, he taught me something. He said a real good attorney never asks a question that he doesn't already know the answer to. And man, I'm saying sometimes if you get a question like they ask you, you're going to take off with it. I mean, they opened the door, you didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, they deserve it. They deserve the answer that they get. I don't know. Do you put laundry detergent under your
or just
front of your house? Is that where you keep your laundry powder?
Yeah. Why? Yeah, it was hilarious. I'll never forget that one. It was pretty funny.
That's too funny.
Those are the child custody cases are kind of tough.
Right. Yeah, I like what you said about they do favor the mother. And hey, that's probably should be that way. I mean, that's historically, mom is a mom is a mom is a mom. I don't care. In Ohio, when I got divorced when my kids were real little, and in Ohio at that time there was the statute, you could not have joint custody unless it was agreed on by both parties.
Oh, wow.
The judge, you couldn't just go to court and just say, I think this ought to be 50-50. That wasn't the law then. It was automatically the mother unless otherwise it was a battle. Yeah. So things have changed with the times. That's not that way now. But
right.
I can imagine how tough that is to go up against that.
Yeah. It is tough. I will tell you that. It's very, very, because I've even had clients come to me, the mother of my child's a stripper. And I go, well, unless she's doing drugs, the court will acknowledge that as being a job. Okay. So you can't, just because she's a stripper doesn't mean that she's a bad mom. Okay. So you got to, I mean, you knew she was a stripper when you had the baby. So what's the big difference now? So, and I've had some of my clients go to court and the judge will acknowledge, being a what they call it, professional. I kind of think it's some kind of dancer or something like that. Exotic dancer. That's a real job. So they're not going to snatch the child away just because of that. So you better go in there with something better than that.
Yep. Well, you know what? It's interesting. With your history through being a detective, you've experienced so much that you've got the wisdom. All along the way, you've developed wisdom. You already have answers that a young detective would not have.
Right.
Just like that, you better have your biscuits all on the same tray if you're going after that, because a judge that I've experienced, they're going to say this. I've seen it.
Right. And I try to do it with my clients. I try to give them some experience. I say, look, this happened to me before in the past. This happened in the past. I would suggest you doing this to cover yourself, just so to make sure that your money's being well spent and not just being thrown down in the tube. Or I've even tell people, I said, don't hire me. You don't. I can't. Don't hire me for that, because what you're trying to ask me to do, I can't do. Don't do it. Don't waste your money.
Can you travel out of state and do stuff, or do you have to be licensed in the state you're at, or how does that work?
As long as you hire me in Texas, I can go someplace else.
Okay.
Does that make sense? But I can't advertise in LA, or I can't advertise in Miami as a Texas private investor. But if you hire me in Texas, and then if I follow somebody from out of Texas, then I'm good.
You know, you're right. There was a guy that I called you on, and you were busy or whatever. I called this other guy out of Del Rio, and he went up to New Jersey and was able to do the deal, man. But because you were unavailable, but that's good though, man. Business is good, so that's good stuff. So we got the travel piece, so you could travel.
Yeah, anything in Los Angeles, Miami, Bruce is fine with me.
Okay, I'll make sure
I can travel. Yeah, not a problem.
All the exotic places are going to go to you first, so for sure.
Yeah, New York, Miami, Los Angeles is fine.
We'll
actually, I had a case, and I'll tell you, I had a case in a city called Lancaster, California. Have you heard of that before?
No, man. No.
It's about 2.5 hours out of Los Angeles. It's in Lancaster, California, where a lady hired me to find her son that she thought he was being held hostage.
Oh, wow.
And I got there, and she said his girlfriend's holding him hostage at the house. And I thought she was crazy. And so she flew me to Los Angeles. I drove 2.5 hours out of LA, went down to Lancaster, California. I ended up, by the luck of God, I found the house. I called LA sheriff's office to assist me, because I thought something might be wrong. And they go, oh, we won't have anybody available for like 3 hours. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to take a chance to handle this myself. And I ended up going inside the house, found the guy. He was living in a garage in the back of his house. He said that everything was fine. His mom didn't need to check up on him. His girlfriend was there. And then, of course, law enforcement in me says, okay, I know you and your girlfriend are here. I told her, can you talk to him by himself for a minute? You mind standing over there? So she went off, and I said, okay, I just want to make sure you're okay. Are you fine? I'll leave here, but I need to get a video of you saying that you're fine. So he told his mom I'm fine, turned off the video. I said, okay, I'm getting ready to leave. And then he goes, can you help me? And I go, what? He goes, can you get me out of here? I was like, right now? I was planning on going to Hollywood and hanging out. And I go, I said, tell you what, get your ID, meet me in the front of the house, and we're getting out of here today, right now. Just put what you got on and let's go. And he came outside. We told his girlfriend that his mom had a heart attack and she had to come home. And man, like I said, I left at 6 o'clock in the morning, got there, picked him up, brought him back, put him on an airplane, bought him a ticket, drove back to the airport 2.5 hours, got on an airplane, flew back to Dallas, dropped him off at midnight that night, same day.
Man, nice.
And he had a big old cut on his wrist and on his back where she was very jealous. I guess they were doing drugs or something, but every time she'd get mad at him, she would cut him with a knife. And it was it's a crazy story, crazy, but.
And you didn't even get to go to Hollywood. It was just a day's work for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a holidays work.
That's terrible.
That's why sometimes these people say, go ahead, Bruce.
I was that's one of those Liam Nielsen taken deals, man. You saved the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the mom was like, what? Are you seriously? I said, okay, I'll go down there if you want me to, but I guess. And man, I thought I was just going to go down there and everything was going to be fine. I'd have a little vacation time and hang out a little bit. And I'm like, man, I got to work now. Damn. So it was a tough little case, but got him back home. He was safe and his mom was happy. So that's the most important thing.
That's a good one, bro. Missing persons, man. Yeah, that was a good save. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask.
No, it was tough because when I got there, I mean, you've seen some of these movies in Los Angeles with the, California is like a giant desert, basically. And when I got there and I found this guy's house, there were like 4 or 5 dogs running around the house. I knocked on the door. I said, hey, man, I'm looking for this particular woman. He goes, yeah, man, that's my ex-wife. I said, okay. I said, well, there's a problem with her and some guy. He goes, yeah, I know who that guy is. I said, well, can I find her? He goes, yeah, do me a favor. Go down 3 blocks that way, 4 blocks that way. Look for Avenue G. Take a left there. And 2 more blocks is a blue house on the right-hand side. I'm like, oh, fuck. Are you serious? He goes, yeah, it's right there. I was like, okay.
Right there.
The house, and that none of those there weren't many street signs out there. It was just like, Lancaster, California. I guess it's just a small city. And I go, man, and I got lucky and found the house, man. And then I was like, man, am I going to get jumped when I come in here? I couldn't take my pistola with me because I couldn't carry it on the airplanes. I'm like, man. So I said, I call LA County to come out here and because the city didn't have a police department. And then LA Sheriff's Office said, yeah, we're about 3 hours out. And I said, don't worry about it, man. I'll take a chance. So
that's what you did.
Tough, man. Got him back home.
That's a good one, man.
So yeah, that's crazy. I'll show you some pictures next time I see you. I still got the photograph.
That'll be great. Yeah, it'd be good to see some photographs. Getting back to the infidelity and the cheaters, I was going to ask you, man, it was like, how many different cheaters cases were you involved on?
On the TV show, man, so there's 22 episodes in a year, okay?
Okay.
For a season. But then there's 2 cases on each episode. So that's 44 cases, technically. 22 episodes, but there's 2 cases in each episode. So that's 44 cases. Now, I didn't do every case, but I did a lot. I would say about 70% of them. And so I would say, man, a lot. That's all I can tell you. I was involved somehow or some way with a lot of them. I didn't do every one of them, but I did a lot of them. I did a lot of them that were, sadly to say, I might have broken up a few families here and there. That's all I can tell you.
I'm going to say this and you can plead the fifth. I mean, I watch the show, right? As a matter of fact, it's on like they do reruns of Cheaters. Have you noticed that, bro? Like Cheaters Marathon. Like, okay. Yeah. And so anyway.
Yeah.
So I go there and I'm always looking for you. Like, that's my man over there, man. Anyway, bro, some of that stuff seems a little bit Jerry Springer, a little, like, is it always fresh like that, or was some of that stuff a little bit more prepped? You know what I'm saying? Or you can take the fifth.
Well, I'm gonna say I'll say it like this, Bruce. There's production value in anything you see on television. Okay, yeah. That's how I'm gonna say that. There's little production value in everything, and I'll give you one little example. We had at the confrontation, it had to be so many minutes long. And I know we had a case once where we had a lady confront somebody, and it was one of my clients, and she went to confront somebody, and she ran back into the van, and then the director goes, Danny, your client only confronted that person for 2.5 minutes. We need at least 10.
Oh, wow.
So I talked to my client, and I go,
hey, man,
he's still in that bar. I need you to go back there and get him again, okay? Because part of your contract says this, and so she went back and did it again. We ended up making a show out of it, but it was like it's little things like that. People don't understand there's so many minutes you need for so much time and spaces on the show and things like that. And like I said, there's a little production value, and everything you see is production. And anything, Kardashians, some of these shows with the on Bravo, the Real Housewives of Dallas, New York, Orlando. There's always somebody there, You know, because look at the Kardashians. What do? Nothing, right? So, okay, why don't y'all go paint your nails today and get into a fight or something, you know? So, you know, it always, and then also sometimes, Bruce, if you see the show, sometimes there's an interview with the client.
Right.
The client talks to us for 2.5 hours about what they would do if they caught him cheating, and they're going to do this. And then they get out there and they freeze up and like, okay, you said you're going to go do this, go do it, you know, do something. So it's just a lot of production value and everything. Anything you see on TV is production.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, old Jerry Springer, whatever. Like, I love some of the restaurant confrontations, right? Or South Dallas, I'm in looking for landmarks or Fuel City, or something, a little taqueria, you know, and then they're like, all right, y'all go in there, and there's like the manager, and then, you know, there's like the showdown and in the restaurant and stuff. Out, he kind of rolls from the restaurant to the parking lot, or some of the hotel confrontations, you know, but anyway, it's sure is, you know, it's fun to watch, you know, it is what it is, you know, but it is fun to watch.
No,
go ahead.
I actually did an interview on Good Morning Texas once, and the person interviewed me. We went back on different. I think there was like 3 different episodes. We busted people on Valentine's Day, and she wanted to go back and look at the difference where it went down at, you know, back then, like 4 or 5 years ago. And some of the places have changed; they're not there anymore. They got different names, a different business. It was kind of weird to go back. But yeah, I confronted them at that table right there. Now it's a donut shop, you know, or it's something else now, or it's, you know, it's just kind of weird to go back there. Like, man, a long time ago.
Back in the day, yeah, because it's been a minute for some of that stuff, and
right?
So no, man, I think it was great. I think it was great that you got to be a part of that, you know, and then carry that forward. It's been a help, you know. Obviously, like you said, on infidelity cases, probably 1,000 plus. I mean, that's kind of a expert witness. So, Mr. Gomez, about how many of these? And I don't know, 1,000, 1,500. You know what I mean?
Lots.
That's I was doing the math. I stopped at about 850 when I was figuring, and how many years the show ran. At 70 would have been just a good lick. So man, good. So what do we got here? We got just under 3 minutes, brother. So let's, you know, tell everybody how they can find you, your podcast, your YouTube, all your socials. You're just finally joined your Instagram, bro. So
I saw that. Yeah,
finally.
Yeah. So I have my website's detectivegomez.com. All my social media is there, detectivegomez.com. I also have an Instagram page. It's Cheaters Detective. Search that. It's there. I got a X what's it called, or Twitter. It's at Detective Gomez. I got a Facebook page, Gomez Detective Agency, Detective Gomez, and then I have a YouTube channel. It's called The Detective Gomez. Search it. I'm always putting videos up about tutorials on how to put a GPS device on the car, how to do it right, how to keep your mouth shut, don't say anything, just different things. I try to give people tips on how to either conduct your own investigation, how to do it, and try to do it right. And then I have a little podcast also where I interview different people about their stories and they've been cheated on, and try to share their stories to educate people on how to handle their own cases should something like that happen to themselves. So just a little different ways to educate people to make sure that they handle it. And if they can't handle it, call me and I'll handle it for you.
There you go. Absolutely. I know I'm a customer, if you will, in some respects, and you've done really well for my clients, and we always enjoy working with you, and just absolute professional. Your turnaround time is fantastic, by the way. I either get same day service or next day service. So I like that from Detective Gomez, man. He turns it around for me, and we do appreciate that, because sometimes you really need stuff to be done in time.
No problem.
Well, folks, that's it for today. It was another fantastic show here on the Concierge Coaches Show with Detective Daniel Gomez. And again, catch us on Apple Podcast, iHeartMedia. We're now on Audible, Amazon Audible, and several other podcast aggregates. So you'll be able to see Daniel and the show notes, and the backlinks are coming. That'll happen here in a few days. So it'll takes a few days for some of that stuff to populate, but we'll get it out there to you. And so that, aren't you glad that you saw the show. I know you are, and you're a better person for it. Well, Wayne, how can folks reach you?
Same way, Wayne_515 at yahoo.com.
All right. And I can be reached at conciergecoach.net. So with that, we'll bid everybody a good afternoon, and we'll see y'all next time on the Concierge Coaches Show, LA Talk Radio. Bye.
You're listening to the Concierge Coaches Show with Bruce Cameron and Wayne Fritz, only on LA Talk Radio.